Chapter 22. Sunday late afternoon. By the time Doreen finished explaining it all to Mac, he was livid. You can't just get involved in every sob story in town. I know that, but are you seriously upset about the sisters' arrangement? I'm seriously upset about this. That is highly illegal. They are deserving of full wages. What about the fact they're having to pay for the expenses of each other? That between them, they only do the work of one, so they need to cover the cost of the second one? She smiled, knowing he was hurt by what was happening to the sisters. That's an excuse, he said. I'll have a talk with this family. I didn't get a name. I just have their phone number, and it's not even a cell phone. He snorted at that. Which means the sisters probably don't have any privacy to talk. But I'll trace that number and have my own private conversation with that couple, taking advantage of the sisters. And I'll make sure they don't fire them on the spot. Does that $50 a month even cover car insurance, not to mention medical care? No, he said. This is basically part of the domestic slave trade, and that is an issue. We need to check into this asshole of a brother too. It's possible the courts would take another look at the will. The sisters obviously don't have any money for a lawyer, Doreen protested. Sometimes in a case like this they don't need one, he said. Again, I'll have to look into it. And I have to cancel our cooking lesson tonight. When he hung up, she had more questions than answers, but at least she felt a sense of somebody helping Lavender and Turquoise. She created a sandwich for her dinner, and then sat outside, mulling over the sisters' problem. Doreen had come a long way, and solving these mysteries had given her a purpose and a sense of identity that she hadn't had before. It gave her a sense of self. And that was what both sisters were missing. It was painful to look at the sisters and see parts of herself in there. She had heard the phrase that the people in front of you were mirrors, and although she understood it in theory, she didn't like it one bit. Again, she remembered that whole thing about projection, like Mac had told her just the other day. But it wasn't her job to help the sisters find out what they wanted from this life. It was more a case of making sure that from here on out, they were at least independent and looking after themselves as much as they could. Sitting down, Doreen looked up the name of the old lawyer. Everything she read held him in good standing. Look at that. A lawyer you could trust, she said sarcastically. And then she read his business had been taken over by this younger attorney, and people weren't happy. She found the Google reviews and a review sheet on the law firm. As she read it, she found no more comments were allowed. Of course not. There was a cached page though that said he had 7 reviews and they were all 1 stars. She studied that for a long moment. What are the chances he's a good buddy of the Jude guy who inherited all the Burns's money, she muttered. How much did this new lawyer get paid to create a false will? But she couldn't make assumptions. If the former lawyer died, what age had he been? It took a bit to figure it out, and she discovered he was only 68. Would Nan know him? She picked up her phone and texted Nan. Instead of texting back, Nan called her. My, what are you asking about Ranford? Was he a good lawyer? The very best, Nan said. I'm sorry he's gone then, Doreen said. I'd like to have met an honest lawyer. At that Nan laughed. Do you know Ed Burns's daughters? I'm sure I've seen them around, Nan said. They are wallflowers though, aren't they? Yes, but then again, they've not had an easy time. Maybe not. They have to make changes. Otherwise they'll keep making the same mistakes. I'm pretty sure, Doreen said, they already are. And she explained about their current living situation. That's terrible, Nan cried out. I wonder what family that is, she said thoughtfully. I don't know, but Mac vowed to have a talk with them. Still, this whole thing puts me very much on edge. Time for a bath to relax, Nan said. You don't have to solve everybody else's problems, you know? Some people will have to solve them for themselves. And some people can't, Doreen said sadly. Not everybody has somebody like you, who was thinking of her granddaughter. No, but you might be surprised. The sisters have each other, and for that they should be grateful. I think they are, Doreen said, but it's still hard. If I do hear anything, I'll let you know. What about the other people I mentioned? Well, Ed Burns, he was a bit of a cheapskate, Nan said. The lawyer Ranford was lovely. But I'm not sure there's anything suspicious about his death. They both had heart attacks, I think. That's interesting. I wish I knew where the will came from and how to find the original. It would have been filed with the BC government, Nan said, but another will could be around. As long as it's signed properly, it would be legal. Well, that's the problem with legal wills, right? Who declared it legal? Nan went on. Oh, now I remember something about that. What about it? The old lawyer was still on the case when Ed Burns died. I remember some kerfuffle in the news about it. About everything going to the son, you mean? Yes, about there being a different will, as the one that was final was not the one the original lawyer had dealt with. Wouldn't he have been forced to do an investigation? I think he died pretty soon after that, Nan said thoughtfully. And that's just way too convenient, Doreen said. Sometimes things are just as they are, Nan said. You can't necessarily pin a crime on everyone. Maybe not, but maybe I'll check with the lawyer's family and see if they have any information on it. You do that, Nan said. His wife, Sarah, is a lovely lady. I just have to track her down, Doreen said. That's easy. She owns the little flower shop down at the corner of Pandosy and KLO Road. Oh, well, maybe I need to walk in and take a look. You should go buy yourself some flowers, Nan said, chuckling. No, I don't have any money for that. I'm sure you'll come up with an excuse. And with that, Nan hung up. Doreen checked her timing, but it was a Sunday, which meant not a good day to talk to anybody about the lawyer. As it was, she ended up taking Nan's advice and had a long soaking bath. As she read her favorite murder mystery while soaking, it was hard to keep her mind on the page because now she had so much else going on. Again, she wasn't sure of the connections yet between the Burns family and the Darbunkles, but something was there, and she knew it. She just didn't know how she knew it. And she didn't know how she'd prove it. She had to have evidence worthy of Mac's regard. She wanted Jude Burns, that bum of a brother, to pay his sisters back. Even better, she wanted him to lose everything, and it all to go to his sisters. She'd even be happy if they just had enough to live off of. Talk about greed. But it still didn't mean Jude did anything criminal. Unfortunately, being greedy wasn't a crime. And what did the ice picks have to do with anything? And then she still had the issue of the missing but declared dead Darbuncle parents and sister. She shook her head. Mac, too many pieces are here. You're the one who's good with puzzles. You'll have to help me sort this all out. But of course, he didn't answer her. In fact, if she told him right now what she had just posed to the empty air, he'd laugh and say, "You're the puzzle master. You figure it out." And as she lay in the hot water with the animals seated around her in the bathroom, keeping her company, she realized he was right, and this one definitely needed solving.